Hello and welcome everyone. This is the Founder Scoop. My name is Jacob Lee, and today I have with me Jenny Larsen.
Hi, nice to be here, Jacob.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah.
So everyone, Jenny, she is a mentor here at iHub, and she has quite an impressive resume when it comes to marketing. So she is our go-to person for marketing today.
Yeah.
So
Great.
Jenny, would you mind just giving me a brief overview of like your career and what kind of got you into marketing?
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I didn't come into marketing I would say the way a lot of people do, up through school and college and get a degree. I wanted to be a stay-home mom, and the first company I started, I was 22 when I had my first baby. And I was actually going to school my dream was to be a kindergarten teacher and have like the most magical class. Like I had this huge, I have a huge imagination, and I wanted to be a teacher that I always wanted for myself or my kids. And then I got married at 21, had a baby at 22. And as soon as I had her, I was like, no way am I leaving her with anyone. And at the time I actually was teaching preschool. I had been teaching preschool at a school for 2 years. And we owned a house and the basement wasn't finished, and we built a preschool. And that kind of just took me in a different direction, and did that for 5 years. And back then there wasn't the internet. Like, it was new. It was like the new frontier, but there wasn't like digital marketing. It did not exist. So old schooling it, like flyers on boards and libraries and stuff like that. And it's kind of a crazy story because one of the parents that brought their kids to my preschool owned a scrapbook company, and she was moving to France, and I offered to buy her company knowing nothing about business. And it's where
did you have experience with scrapbooking though?
No.
No.
I mean, I did like a scrapbook for my first baby, and it wasn't like what scrapbooking became, like these big artistic like books. But I always had that entrepreneurial spirit. From the time I was a kid, I was hustling just because of the environment I grew up in. And so I was always doing side jobs, making money, yard work, babysitting, which a lot of people did. A lot of kids did at my age. But
and you grew up here
in
was
Utah.
it Provo? Or?
Yeah, Provo-Orem.
Oh, wow. Okay, cool.
Yeah. And so that was my first experience, like truly in a business, and I had to market it. And it's where strategy really started coming into play in my life when I had the scrapbook company, because there were stores everywhere at the time when scrapbooking was huge. And the company I bought had scrapbook kits, and the kits that they sold the most of were the LDS kits that were like missionary kits, and they just hung. They had like this paper thing, and they hung. And I had the kits in some stores, like scrapbook stores. But when I bought it, the woman I bought it for, she had gotten them into a handful of Deseret books, the LDS ones. And I thought, well, dang, that just makes sense because it's not competing with any other scrapbook stuff. Yeah. So I went all in on the LDS scrapbook kits and landed a national contract with Deseret Book. And then I went into Sequel Book and Tape. And again, it was just going into their business offices, asking who I needed to talk to, figuring it out. I didn't even know what a Net 30 was when this, like the woman I bought it from, she was showing me the business side, but I didn't know QuickBooks. I knew nothing. So I just jumped in with 2 feet and ended up landing 2 huge accounts. And then when scrapbooking went digital, I sold the company. I saw it coming that scrapbooking was going to be going digital. I just kind of saw it coming down the pipeline. And I've been starting and owning my own businesses ever since. And I just had a natural knack for strategy and marketing and super creative ideas and thinking outside the box because, like I said, I didn't go to college. I didn't even graduate high school. I got my GED.
Really?
Like I just wasn't that kind of I've always been very active, like sitting in a classroom just never worked. I did go to college after I took my GED. It's why I took my GED, because I did want to be a teacher. And even then it wasn't hard for me to leave. I was like, yeah, this is kind of the same thing I'd rather just be doing. So yeah, I've invented a product and took it to market in 6 months, made it through 3 rounds of Shark Tank. It was on the Today Show, top 10 products
What's
for
the product
summer.
called?
It was called the Shade Wagon, and it was a wagon for moms. And I had my husband build one for me because I had kids in sports and it had an umbrella. Anyway, everywhere I went, people would be like, "Where did you get that?" And so I decided to turn it into a business, and it just took off. But
That's so
the
cool. Yeah.
cost of manufacturing, and I mean, I learned everything from manufacturing, plastic molding. I teamed up with BYU. They came on board, and they had a business team that was working with me. But at the end of the day, it just, the cost of manufacturing versus the cost of retail, we just couldn't line that up. And so I pulled the plug on it. And yeah, so I've just been, and then started my own agency through different businesses. I just always kind of excelled in the strategy part of marketing, like being able to see things in different ways. I think maybe just because of the way they came up through the lines. So just seemed to always excel in that. Went into real estate, marketed, got hired by a builder, and became their number one sales agent for 6 straight years, but was doing all my own marketing for it and all my own marketing strategy for it, which they then adopted as a company, and then got hired when that market crashed. That's when I did the Shade Wagon. And then I got approached by a school fundraising company and implemented a bunch of marketing there. And then they adopted it all in their company. And I just kind of had this natural strategic mind and very creative. It was almost like this kind of perfect storm of strategy and creativity, and always thinking outside the box and seeing opportunity that just a lot of people couldn't see. Yeah. And that's how I landed where I am. Yeah.
That's impressive. You got quite a range of experiences.
Yeah.
Lots of business experience. How many businesses would you say you started, and how many would you say you've like owned and operated? If those are different.
Yeah. So let me think for a minute. My preschool, scrapbooking. When I did do real estate, I learned how to build a house. I learned everything from ground acquisition all the way through. Wow. So I ended up building 2 spec homes and selling them, ended up buying rentals, then designed and built my own house, and I was the contractor on it. Built it in 90 days. I was really proud of that track record. That wasn't necessarily a business I started, but again, I just was a learner. I love to just jump in and do. So I would say probably, and then my company, Marketing Simplify. So like 5 companies, a few products, and my ultimate business, I guess, goal, dream. I was actually in the middle of building a children's park, like we hadn't started building, but all the engineering, and I'm hopefully crossing fingers that this will come back into my line. But when COVID hit, we just were about to buy the land when COVID hit and everything started getting shut down. So that got shut down. But if you count that would be 6.
I love it.
Yeah.
Have you met, there's a company here at iHub that's building a museum in Orem.
Really?
Do you know that?
No.
I'll have to introduce you afterwards.
What kind of museum?
It's a children's museum.
What?
Yeah. So I'll make a connection afterwards.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
I thought that would be interesting.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Tell me, what do you do right now with your marketing company?
So with Marketing Simplify, I had a full agency, full team. And as COVID came and we started going remote, and then my team started moving, like one of my copywriter moved to Germany, and my project manager moved to West Virginia, and my designer moved to St. George. It just kind of, so I had to make a decision if I wanted to start replacing these people and keep a full agency going. And at the time I had a mentor, and he's a fractional CMO, and he also is really big into branding. He owns one of the biggest branding companies. And he started talking to me about doing fractional work. He's like, maybe don't restart a full agency, and which I was so open to because I spent so much time running the business side of it, the part that I loved, which was the marketing, the creativity, the strategy, implementing. I wasn't spending a whole lot of time doing that anymore. So now I've moved into fractional contracts, fractional marketing. I do still have Marketing Simplify, but I've moved into fractional contracts, and right now I have a contract with a Suncrest, which is a pharmacy software company. So I'm their fractional marketing director. And at Spikeball, I'm their fractional campaign director, and a development company, which is actually my brother's, and I'm his fractional marketing director. So They just contract certain hours, and I just jump in and
That's cool.
Just do that.
What does it look like to be a fractional? What do you call that?
Fractional
marketing
so
director?
They're just called fractional contracts. It's actually really cool. because it's a block of time. So let's say with spike ball seasonal. So to have a full on staff, it's a win-win for both me and the companies. Like spike ball, they're seasonal. You know, when winter hits, we're down season. So they've bought blocks of times. They've contracted blocks of times with me for their high season, which is basically spring all the way through I was about to say back to campus. It's a campaign we're running right now, but you know, the back to school. And then we're kind of slow until we ramp up for the holidays. So throughout the year, my contract is able to change hour-wise based on their seasonality of their company. So it's a win for them and it's a win for me because I can bring on other contracts and manage. I'm still completely independent, manage my own schedule and able to diversify what I'm working on as well, which is so nice, you know, to work on anything from direct to consumer to business and be able to work in different strategic ways and different creative ways with different companies. And I just feel like I get a lot more experience in different lanes, different challenges. And I work with in-house teams. So I come in, like Spikeball has a full marketing team. And I'm like I said, the campaign director. So I come in and run all their campaigns using their team. And so I don't have to have my own full staff that I'm managing and paying to, like all the things you have to pay on to have a full staff. And so I've really enjoyed moving into the fractional space. It's new for me, but really it's just the same work I've always done, but just in fractional contracts. And so it gives a lot of versatility to what you can do.
That seriously sounds like the best of both worlds.
It really has been. I was a little bit nervous going into it, like, you know, it was just the unknown, you know, but ultimately has been amazing and I've loved it. And it's offered me more time also to come in and mentor at iHub, which I love, and mentoring startups and stuff. So I have a lot of agility in my schedule and it really helps.
What would you say is the most common problems you see when you're mentoring startups?
The most common problem when mentoring, I wouldn't say it's a problem, but, you know, the reason I'm so passionate about it is because I've had so many startups and had I had someone sit down with me and say, these are some things you might be running into, like, let's get you ready for it. I would say the biggest thing is just a strategy or a full awareness of what they're getting into. Because I've been involved in not only so many my own companies, but also working for companies. I've been able to see a broad spectrum of blind spots that going into business that people just don't see when they're going into it. I would say one of the biggest things, because I'm here mentoring and marketing, is just a lack of understanding what branding is, what a brand story is, what a brand voice is, how that plays into your role. Not into your role, but into your company and how it sets your company apart. And I would say the second thing is a strategy. You know, when I'm mentoring, I just start asking questions right out of the gate, like, who is this for? Who are you talking to? Let's look at your stuff, you know, and it's so fun because discovering with someone new, like discovering things they didn't even know about their own business that they get excited about, like, oh my gosh, I didn't even think about that, you know? And I love when people go, what is a brand voice or what is a brand personality? And I get to work through that with them and we just have so much fun and we laugh and we like just that whole pulling out that creative side and I feel like this is the fun side of business, you know, like being able to see your company or your idea through the eyes of who your potential client or your potential customer is going to be, you know, and to bring that in front of a founder and say, okay, well, I'm your person. These are all the questions I have. And how are you standing out? And just like kind of asking those questions and then helping them navigate that and seeing that light come on and then moving into, okay, let's get you some solid branding, a brand voice, a strategy that lines up with it. You know, where are your customers? Where are we going to meet them at? How are we going to approach them? How are we going to talk to them? You know, and I mean, I know the world is digital, but I always take the real world as metaphors and put it into the digital world. And it's so fun. I just love it. It's great. So I don't know that it's a problem necessarily, but it is one thing I would say almost 100% of the time in mentoring that when I start talking to them about the marketing and the client and the, like their brand and things like that it's like opening all these new doors for them to peek through, and then we'll kick one down and like just crush it. And it's great. I love it.
I love the passion that you have.
Yeah.
Like I can totally see how much this means to you.
Well, I have coming up the way I did in business. I have just such a deep belief that founders and new companies, entrepreneurs are the legs of this country. It's like what keeps us free. And there was a time before even coming into iHub, with just the world we live in, I started thinking, God, everything's being taken over by all these chains. Everywhere you go, it's like strip malls that have all the exact same stores, all the exact same restaurants, and kind of just feels very vanilla. And I was kind of getting into a place of like, does the world even, is there any even creative people anymore, or thoughts, or like, and then iHub came. Holy cow, like being here and mentoring has absolutely restored my faith, and it's exciting for me. Like when I sit down with companies here, with founders here, and see their ideas and see their passion and the people I've worked with, and they're brilliant and go-getters. And I don't know, it just reminds me when I was in that phase of, you're just going for it, be damn the outcome, and that belief in themselves, and then the trials, and even gaining that confidence in themselves, and going and talking to people and learning from the failures and knowing it's not a failure. It's just another learning opportunity. Like it's such a magical, amazing world, in my opinion. And like I said, and then at the end of the day, I feel like these people coming up are the legs of our country. They're bringing innovation and new ways of thinking and new ways of doing things. And man, the fact that I even get to be a part of it at all is such a gift. And so, yeah, I'm super passionate about mentoring because I want to see all these founders just freaking crush it, and they will, and they are. So like, it's such a privilege to be able to be a part of it.
So let's talk about the role mentors have played in your life, right? You're super passionate about being a mentor, but I'm assuming that's probably because you've been helped as you've been growing your own businesses.
Yeah, mentoring is such an interesting word because I realize now how many mentors I had that I didn't even know they were my mentors until later when I looked back and thinking, man, God really placed so many incredible people in my path that mentored me. And I remember one time thinking, I need a mentor. And then looking back, I've had mentors my whole life. Everything from my own mother. My own mom was just, she worked full time, and then she did hair on the side. And then because she was a single mom, she had 8 kids, and she, would make crafts and we'd sell them door to door. And she did it all with just such like creativity. And so I would say my first mentor absolutely was my mother. And then along the way, with everything I've done and jumped into, I would meet people along the way that just knew something I didn't know. And they'd be like, if you would, and for people to take the time to share their knowledge and their experience to help someone else along the way is such a gift. And when I started looking back on my path, everything from, when I got into construction and development and real estate, I actually got into that because I had a construction cleaning company, and the owners of the development company that I had their contract, one of the owners came to me, he's like, I know this is your company, like this cleaning company, but I think you would just crush it in real estate. Like if you'll go get your license, we'll hire you. We have an opening. We want you to like open a new development for us. I knew nothing about real estate. And these owners, these brothers, they were one of the biggest developers in Utah County at the time. After the 2008 crash, they moved back to Florida. But Matt Kreiser, one of the owners, he just took me under his wing, and he saw that I loved to learn. And he just taught me everything, anything I wanted to know. He just taught it to me, and he gave me like the free range to go do it, like to go learn it all. I'm like, we're having to get all these approvals, and we're paying for them for FDA for our condos, not the FDA. That's the Food Drug Administration, FHA. Anyway, like he was a mentor and I said, I think I could learn this, and we wouldn't have to pay to do it. Like I could learn how to get these approvals, and he would just let me. He's like, okay. And then he would pay me to do it instead. So he was one of my biggest mentors. He taught me Adobe and how to design stuff because I had all these ideas. And he's like, well, look, let's just teach you some basic tools. Like, he was a huge mentor. And my older brothers who started businesses, they were big mentors. And right now, I would say I have a mentor. His name's Chris Nealand. He came up, he's a principal owner in Colt Branding, which works with, like, they actually last year did the brand Hall of Fame. They rolled it out in Banff, and the NFL was there, and Coca-Cola and Levi's, like these huge brands. And he brought me into that world, and he has just this passion, and he's teaching me all kinds of stuff just about branding and how it stands out and how it pivots a company. And anyway, so yeah, I've just had just so many. So if I can be any of that to anyone, like, I'm in 100%.
I love your passion for learning too.
Yeah.
That's something that's really attracted me to entrepreneurship as well. Is
Yeah.
I want to understand how things work.
Right.
And I think it's super cool to be able to do that in business.
Right.
As an entrepreneur, that's what you're doing every single day.
Right. You know, it's so interesting. Just yesterday, I was writing a LinkedIn post about imposter syndrome. I haven't put it out yet. But because I didn't come up through business, like through a college degree, which most everyone I work with came up, like, has degrees. And so forever, no matter how many businesses I started, no matter how much success I had, I always had this, like, imposter syndrome. Like, I don't belong in this room. You know, I'm just a hard worker, or I'm just a hustler. Like, but I'm not, like. And then I can't remember how the topic came up for me, but somebody asked me something, and they're like, what do you mean? Like, you have your own agency, and you're the director of big global companies, and what are you talking about imposter syndrome? Like, you're not an imposter. You've actually done it. But it really is such a unique, the entrepreneur path, you know, because you really do have to be your own driver, your own marketer. You have to have a passion for learning. You know, you have to let your ego go. I used to have a big ego. A lot of what I did was to prove myself, you know, and when that layer finally fell off, it was so freeing. Like, oh, I don't even care about proving myself anymore. This is just about my heart and my passion. And
what changed there? Like, I feel like that's something that a lot of entrepreneurs feel like, is they need to prove themselves.
They do. And I will say my shift in that was the Shade Wagon, which was the product I took to market in 6 months. And it was, man, I just thought it was a guaranteed thing, like a guaranteed it was going to go. And I was on TV I was on TV in Hawaii when I went for a hospitality show. And I was on multiple shows here in Utah, and everywhere I went, like, people were like, let's come in and talk about this wagon that you invented. It was just a wagon, but it was so functional. Like, it did everything, but it was just a wagon, like a transformer, but easy, you know? Anyway. And, like, we were at a show and won for best new product. I didn't even know there was a contest. They just came with cameras and everything and handed us all these. I'm like, sweet. But it was like, and BYU was working with us, and we got invited to Shark Tank, and, you know, like, all these things were going, and my ego and my worth just got so big based on, like, all of this, the attention that was coming from it. And I'm like, oh yeah, now I've proven myself, like, you know, I'm big time. And, you know, and then it failed. And, you know, it's like they say, the higher you climb, the whatever that is. Yeah. The greater the fall. And my ego took such a hit. I mean, everywhere I went, people would go, oh my gosh, I saw you on TV. Like, how's your wagon going? And people would message me, oh my gosh, I saw you here, and I saw this, and I saw you in this thing. And every time I'd run into someone and they would ask me, it's like, oh, I just wanted to hide. I just felt like, oh, I'm not this person I thought I was. Like, I'm not good at business. I'm not an entrepreneur. I should have just stuck with, you know, I should have went to school. I should have just been like, but it was such a godsend that happened. And because it just stripped away all of that. And I will say it took me a bit to bounce back from that. You know, it's funny, I actually applied for a job at Costco. I had not been into a job interview since my 20s. And like, well, not even in my 20s, like since I was like 19, because I started my own business pretty quickly after I got married. I started my preschool and I'd been working for myself ever since. And I'm sitting at job service and they call me back and I interview with these two guys for Costco. It was opening in Spanish Fork and I interviewed with them and they looked at me and they're like, why are you here? And they looked up my business, they looked up my website and everything. And they're like, I just want a job, just a regular job. I'll clean toilets. Like, I just want to come to work, punch in, punch out, get paid. That's it. I mean, that is how low I fell from that. Like, and not that working at Costco is a low job. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is I completely gave, like, it was such a hit. But I slowly made my way back and in such a more humbled way. And I thought, if I'm going to do anything, it's going to be for one purpose and one purpose only. And that's going to be giving, and it's going to be from the heart. It's going to be with integrity. And it's not going to have anything to do with me proving myself. I want to just do things because it's what I want to do, and I have passion for it. And that really just shifted everything. When I was able to shed that, I have to prove myself. And I just went into the lane of, I'm doing this because I'm passionate about it. I mean, it shifted everything. I landed big accounts and was able to, and I just kind of line up with my passion of what I love to do and realize, I'm not here to prove anything. I just genuinely want to see this succeed, and it shifted everything.
I bet you just felt so much happier too.
Oh.
And I feel like that propels
Oh,
everything.
it does. It absolutely does. You're just in a whole different, before that, I would say I was in the grind and just when you're in the place of proving yourself, it's like you can't run fast enough and you can't get far enough. And there's always the next thing to conquer and and it's like, all the validation came from outside of myself. Like, oh my gosh, look, we're on TV. That's validation. Oh my gosh, look. Like one time my wagon was on the Today Show. We were on our way to Lake Powell and we stopped in Kanab at McDonald's to watch the segment. And Matt Lauer called it the little red wagon on steroids. And I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe our product is on the Today Show, And I was just like on this high, But all that validation of, I had worth or I could do something was all, I was looking outside of myself for it. Like, see, they say I have worth, so then I do. The problem is the second you get a no and they say you don't have worth, if you're looking for it in that space, that's a hard hit when that's the space you're in, and it's a big hit to your ego. But yeah, when you can shed that as anyone in life, but I mean, we're talking about entrepreneurship, but especially in entrepreneurship, and you're doing it from a true place of passion and wanting to give and wanting to succeed and give something incredible back to the world, and then gift that, like what you've learned in your journey, to other people. I mean, I will say this, because that is gone. If I lost everything tomorrow, it wouldn't be, I wouldn't be joyful about it, of course, but I would also still be joyful. Does that make sense? I would still be, I wouldn't feel like I lost it because I personally failed at anything or because I had something to lose. I mean, it just would be something that I just take like, okay, well, that's what happened. Let's move forward. Let's keep going. So it is much lighter.
How would you, I guess, what advice would you have for those just starting out as an entrepreneur to be able to have that change, to be able to set the ego aside and to grow with humility?
God, that's a good
I guess
question.
without having that transformational experience.
I would say just every day, just check yourself on why you're here. And if any part of you is doing this for the approval, I would say the approval of someone else, or if you have an idea and you feel fearful of saying it because you're worried what someone else will think about it, those are kind of little gut checks of, why am I really in this? I believe that anyone who wants to be an entrepreneur has a certain kind of a spirit in them, and to tune into that and really check if you're chasing the money or chasing the worth or chasing any of those. I would say, I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but the energy you're going to be giving it is a lot different than when you're doing it from a place of inner fulfillment. Like I am doing this because it fulfills me. I'm learning from it. I'm passionate about it. And it's not to say you have to be passionate about the product. There's a lot of people that start a business because they want to be business owners. It doesn't mean they're super passionate about the product, but they're passionate about working for themselves and being an entrepreneur and being a business owner and taking something to market. And that is just as important. But when you have that gut check of what is this person going to think? And, maybe I'm not going to show them because they're, do it. Show them, be vulnerable, be truthful with yourself, tap into that passion every day and know that there is no such thing as failure. There truly isn't unless you don't learn from it, And ego, I think, is pretty easy to check because if you're looking outside yourself for validation that anything that you're doing is worthy of your time or any of your ideas are worthy of this world, the world is just a mirror to us. It just mirrors back to us. So I would just say, really, at the end of every day, this is my practice. At beginning and end of day, I set the sail for the day I want to have. And at the end of the day, I end it in gratitude. And it has really helped me to stay out of ego and stay in humility. And with entrepreneurship, I feel like you need that. But you also need drive for sure, and faith for sure, faith in self, faith in God for people who believe in a God. For me, it's foundational. And when you have that kind of mix, this is probably not a direct answer, but when you're doing it from a place of truth, nothing will stop you. Not the no's, not the failures. You'll just this is who I am. I'm called to be an entrepreneur. I'm called to own my own business. And I may not have it all figured out. And this business may fail and this product may not have taken off. But there's a calling in us to go to the next thing. And that just means that's your purpose. And it's not about ego or proving yourself. Follow that. Feel that, listen to it, and follow it.
Jenny, your story is really incredible.
Thank you.
I love the energy and the passion that you have.
Thanks.
And the lessons that you've shared have been really inspirational.
Thank you.
So thank you so much for coming today.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's been a lot of fun.
Where can people go if they want to connect with you?
They can go to marketingsimplified.com. My phone number's on there. I'm also on LinkedIn. I'm at iHub. So I'm here. I mentor a lot here. So iHub has all my information. So I'm pretty easy to find.
I love it. Well, thank you so much again for joining me today.
You're welcome. It's been fun. Thanks, Jacob.